Guys, good to be with you. Happy Friday. Week is almost over. Welcome to the I Love CVille Show. My name is Jerry Miller. Great to be with you. We're live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille network. Thank you kindly for joining us. If you could do me the pleasure, my friends, of giving the show a like and a share now on any of the Facebook pages you're watching upon. This the only show where you, the viewer, can determine the pace and tempo of the program and where we're heading by hitting us up here, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it may be, LinkedIn, Snapchat, TikTok, email. You can offer your perspective and change the course of the conversation. We try to make it interactive, equitable, fair, and we try to bring a conversation to you that will better inform you as Charlottesvillians, as Virginians, and as Americans, and as people that walk this planet. A lot to get to on today's show. Governor of Virginia, he and his wife have COVID. We'll lead with that in moments. We're going to talk Albemarle County teachers who are straight up asking for clear guidelines for reopening. I stand with teachers. I understand that they want clarity where we're going from here. We'll talk CVille Schools and CVille Schools not reopening anytime soon. We'll put that in perspective to their private school counterparts who are most definitely learning in person. We will talk tourism across the region and how tourism is going to big time impact the economy. Think about those home football games, those home basketball games. Think about sports tourism from a Friday night football standpoint, high school. Friday night lights, going out before or after games, and the money you spend with tailgating. We'll talk about it from a Richmond perspective with hard numbers and then apply those statistics to the Charlottesville region. The health department, speaking of Richmond, has cracked down on 6 different Richmond restaurants and has made them shut down because they're not following COVID guidelines. That conversation coming up. Ghost kitchens gaining momentum across the area. That topic is something that is near and dear to my heart as entrepreneurs are looking to get into this space locally. Those ghost kitchens are really coming to the forefront in Richmond. We'll tell you about those in RVA. Kelly Jackson's going to join us to offer some vulnerable and genuine and authentic perspective on her daughters and how they are learning virtually in today's COVID-19 landscape and the trials and tribulations of learning virtually. We will talk about a very positive story. There's a night market. Think farmer's market, but at night at Ix Art Park. And Brian Wimer, the Wizard of Ix, Susan Kreschel, Ludwig Kutner, and the fabulous merchants at Ix Art Park, including one of our favorites, Patty Zeller and Animal Connection. Guys, so much positivity and a palpable buzz at Ix Art Park. I was my beautiful wife for my birthday. She gave me a kegerator, and the kegerator holds 2 pony kegs. And yesterday I was returning the empties on the way home, the empty shells of the pony kegs, to 3 Notch, which is my favorite brewery. And in the process of returning these empty shells, I'm like, good night. There's like 6 or 7 food trucks here. There's people interacting and enjoying a beautiful day. They're all doing it safely in a social distance way with masks on, staying 6 feet apart unless they're friends or family. And it was just such wonderful, positive energy. And I want to highlight that on today's edition of the I Love CVille Show. We have athletes at William & Mary, and remember, because of budget cuts a few weeks ago, we relayed to you that William & Mary was going to cut a number of sports programs. Well, unfortunately, a lot of those sports programs are female-based sports programs because the female-based sports programs lose money. I'll cut to the chase. It's rare in college sports that you have teams that make money, not named football, not named men's basketball, and in some cases, baseball. The other ones, frankly speaking, lose a hell of a lot of money. And a lot of those that really are hemorrhaging the most are women in female sports, which is unfortunate. Well, these athletes in Williamsburg, William & Mary current athletes and alumni of the school, are galvanizing in a class action lawsuit and will sue the College of William & Mary for sexual discrimination. That story coming up. The Pac-12 has announced that they're going to have a 7-game football schedule. A new segment today on the I Love CVille Show basically live from our Instagram. We will spotlight some of the fantastic things that are happening on our Instagram. We'll talk about Tanisha Hudson, an activist in our community that is very vocal with City Hall and on City Council meetings. She, unfortunately, was not allowed to speak by Director of Communications Brian Wimer of Charlottesville City Hall on the Charlottesville controlled show CVille 360. And when he disallowed Tanisha Hudson from speaking, he broke some rules. So we'll talk about that on the show, including Hudson and her attorney getting a payday. So not only are we hemorrhaging money from a budget deficit standpoint, we're paying 3 city managers on October 1, but now we're giving activists bags of money because rules were not followed from a public engagement standpoint. Just another level of frustration as a taxpayer. And we're paying taxes to Charlottesville, guys, so we have a voice, whether it's as a business owner in the city, whether it's a real estate owner in the city, or whether it's someone who goes out with his wife and his son and enjoys restaurants and retail in the city. Many of us, majority of us, 90% plus of us, fit that model of spending some kind of hard-earned dollars in this phenomenal city. And when we do that, that enables us to have a voice because we're giving a portion of the money we get through hard, honest work to a municipality to keep the municipality heading in the right direction. We'll talk about all that on the I Love CVille show. Thank you kindly, Stephanie Rhodes, for sharing the show. You mean quite a bit to this program. Thank you, Scott Aaronworth in Virginia Beach, for sharing the show. Kelly Jackson's going to join us. She shared the show. Lloyd Rittner, Carol Thorpe, thank you for liking and sharing the show. Rosemary Postle, hello. How are you, Rosemary? James Dickerson, hello. Thank you for sharing. Michael Johnson, Christopher Eagle, we love you guys. Thank you for sharing this program. We work hard at it, and all we ask in return from you is a like and a share. We like to give some love to Interstate Pest and Service Companies. 4 generations of family behind this business, 50 plus years of making this business a key part of our community. And they are doing it by treating their team members and their customers the right way, with honesty, with authenticity, and just living by the golden rule. It's a home's best friend. It's Interstate Pest and Service Companies. Andre Xavier, Iris Luck, Barbara Lundgren, you guys are the best. You just liked and shared the show. Chris and Crozet, Tim and Northern Downtown. Barbara just shared it on her page. You guys are the absolute best. Judah Wickhauer is my right hand, key guy on this team, 8+ years working together. Judah, the first story has got to come from the governor's mansion, no? And why don't we get this on screen? This story broke during Real Talk, the show we do with Keith Smith of the Yes Team Realtors, the distinguished gentleman. Governor Ralph Northam and his wife have tested positive for COVID-19. A bummer. I'm going to leave politics out of this. And anyone who gets COVID as a God-fearing, golden rule abiding man, I pray for them and wish them the best. It's not about Democrat. It's not about Republican, Libertarian. It's not about how he's managed, things so far. The governor of Virginia and his wife now have COVID-19. So you have arguably the most influential and impactful husband and wife in the Commonwealth, the first lady and the first man of the Commonwealth, now have this virus that is impacting everyone. I think, if anything, this shows the very real nature of COVID-19. A man and a wife who have every resource at their disposal test positive for something that they were very much trying to protect themselves from. Now, mild symptoms for the First Lady. The governor, according to the press release, is not experiencing any symptoms. Both will isolate over the next 10 days. The governor will continue to work from home. So I want you to think about this. He's been working in a safe environment from the governor's mansion for most of this pandemic, yet still got COVID-19. Give your loved ones, your wife, your husband, your friends, give them a text, a phone call, if they're in your pod, if they're in your house, if you're seeing them regularly and they're in your pod, your social pod, just remind them of how real this very is. And I think we all know that. Until we get that vaccine, it's about management now. And I think that is a perfect segue into teachers. If you watch this show, you know that I stand with teachers, just like I stand with the police. That may be an unpopular opinion for so many, especially in this Antifa, Black Lives Matter movement. I thoroughly mean this. The majority of police are upstanding people. There are a couple of bad apples in every profession. Police, teaching, advertising, media, car sales, food, restaurants, you name it. That's just the nature of human life. But I stand with teachers and I stand with police, and the teachers in Albemarle County, if you can get that headline on screen, Judah Wickhauer, they are asking for very clear-cut guidelines from their leadership and their school board about reopening. And you know what? I would want the same. One of the most aggravating and frustrating things about this darn pandemic is the uncertainty and the lack of a date when this is going to be done. We love to plan as people. We would like to say we can make it to this date, whether financially, mentally, physically, emotionally. If we can get to this date and it's going to be over, we have something to look forward to. That's just not the nature of what's happening. So Albemarle County Education Association is pretty much saying, guys, give us clear guidelines on the reopening. And you're seeing the same from Charlottesville City Schools. Judah, if you can get that on screen from Charlottesville Tomorrow, the nonprofit website. City schools are no longer considering reopening in October. Now, you had the superintendent of city schools earlier this week say, we are going to try to open in October, and we're going to give a run to get the kids back in school. Many of the parents in the city school system and the Albemarle County school system are seeing and feeling the disparity between in-person learning at private schools and public school learning that is very much virtual in so many school systems. And these parents are getting vocal and more vocal and more vocal, saying our kids need to get back in the classroom. You had parents, and I'm going to get to this story here from Roanoke County Public Schools. We'll get to that in a matter of moments. In fact, why don't we skip Tanisha for now, and we'll get back to her, and let's get to the Roanoke teachers, Judah. If you can get the Roanoke teachers headline from the Roanoke Times on screen, my friend, that would be great. Teachers in Roanoke Public Schools saying, we are drowning as parents and teachers. This particular news piece of news outlined a public school teacher and the added work she is experiencing to prepare for an online curriculum with her students. They had parents speak before the school board and council, and these parents said, my son and daughter used to be a straight A student. Now my son and daughter, their grades are suffering because they're not getting the in-person experience. So this is very real. Much like the governor getting COVID, it's very real that we're seeing students fall behind. We're seeing students fall behind because of a lack of quality and reliable, ubiquitous internet. We're seeing students fall behind because this whole virtual and Zoom learning model is novel and new, and we haven't kicked the tires. We're seeing students fall behind because managing attention is difficult enough in person. Imagine managing a student's attention over a computer when they have video games and cell phones and pets and all kinds of distractions at home that can otherwise captivate what they're thinking. So the Roanoke Public School System is very much frank and grim and real with their assessment, and they've said this has not been going great. The reason I bring Roanoke to you is the same reason we saw with college football. We saw the ACC and the SEC say, we're going to play college football. And that peer pressured or caused a keeping up with the Joneses effect with the Big 12 and the Pac-12. Now the Big 12 and the Pac-12 playing college football. So if a school system like Roanoke, a school system, perhaps in the Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach area, should they choose to open from an in-person standpoint when they're a public school system, that's going to influence others in the Commonwealth. Very much like when the Virginia Tech president, Tim Sands, said late last week, Virginia Tech is focused and committed to keeping its business model, and colleges are business models, focused on keeping its business model, Virginia Tech schooling, in person from here on out. He straight up said that. That no doubt, influenced Jim Ryan and UVA, and that no doubt influenced James Madison University, who within 6 days of starting the fall semester went virtual because of a COVID outbreak. Now they're opening in early October to go back to in-person. It's keeping up with the Joneses. Whether we want to admit it or not, it very much impacts all of us. So we'll follow the Roanoke County School Board. They had a meeting on Thursday night. Parents and teachers stepped up to the podium to share their experiences, and frankly, it was a very grim assessment according to the story in the Roanoke Times. And at the end, the school board has said something has to change in Roanoke County Public Schools. We'll follow it closely. We'll ask some of these questions and relay some of them to Kelly Jackson, who has 2 daughters in school and is very real and frank with how things are going with her 2 daughters. Give the show a like and a share on any of the Facebook pages, Instagram pages, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, Snapchat, email pages, you're watching this program upon. We'd like to give Judah some props to Ting Fiber Internet. They can save $288 on Ting Fiber Internet through ilovecville.ting.com. It's the best internet. It's running this show, the best internet possible at the lowest rate possible, only through ilovecville.ting.com. Now, an activist in our community, Tanisha Hudson, she just got a payday from Charlottesville City Hall, and this payday was directly correlated to, she was trying to offer her perspective on the city-controlled and city-managed social talk show called CVille 360 that's hosted by Director of Communications Brian Wheeler. And Brian, I have respect for Brian Wheeler here. Brian Wheeler's a friend. Like you, Brian Wheeler, nothing but love for you, Brian Wheeler. I know your job as Director of Communications is extremely difficult right now, Mr. Wheeler, certainly because of COVID, certainly because of the tumultuous relationships in Charlottesville City Hall. Well, Tanisha tried to speak on this CVille 360 show. Mr. Wheeler did not allow her to speak. She immediately hired a lawyer to issue a lawsuit, to get a lawsuit going against Charlottesville City Hall, rather than have a knockdown, drag-out lawsuit that the media would undoubtedly cover. City Hall chose to settle with Tanisha Hudson, for an undisclosed amount of money that we will not know. That's part of the settlement. Regardless, Tanisha Hudson, Charlottesville High School graduate, someone who's doing some good things for this community, no doubt, she got a payday from City Hall. She got a payday from you. From you. From you. She got a payday from me. Taxpayer dollars during a budget deficit when City Hall is paying 3 city managers in October, when money is not there to pay teachers what they deserve, firefighters, EMTs, police, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Paydays are being offered to activists because protocols are not being followed on Charlottesville 360 talk shows. Interestingly, that talk show, and Rob Schilling covered this well, Carol Thorpe brought this to my attention yesterday. Carol Thorpe, thank you kindly for doing that. Interestingly, the show where Tanisha was not giving the opportunity to speak by Brian Wheeler, that show has been pulled off Charlottesville's hosting platform. So you can't even find that show anymore. In my business, that's called bad optics. In my business, that's called not managing perception the right way. In the age and the ubiquitous time of social and digital media, These are an addiction. The average person is checking Facebook 19 times a day, Instagram very, very close thereafter. Managing of perception and optics is paramount for the success of any brand or business. And when you keep someone who's vocal, who's passionate and committed and shows up every time for meetings, much like Don gathers, when you keep individuals from expressing their rights, you're going to have backlash. And it's not a good look for the city. Our next headline, and Kelly, we will get to you here in a matter of moments. Kelly Jackson, co-star of Women Changing Our World, Mondays at 10:15 a.m. on the I Love CVille network. Let's talk sports tourism. The reason I'm bringing up sports tourism today is because of the following reasons in Charlottesville. We do not have Friday night lights, high school football. We do not have sold-out stadiums for Saturday at Scott Stadium for a Duke and UVA game. Only less than 1,000 people, family and friends, can be there. So sports tourism is a tremendous driver of any locality, especially those localities that have college sports or put a tremendous emphasis on Friday night lights, high school football. Now I'm going to relay numbers of the impact of sports-related tourism to Richmond. This particular industry, sports-related tourism, has surpassed business and convention travel as the main driver of area hotel occupancy in Richmond, Virginia. 8 of the top 10 dates for hotel occupancy in 2019 in Richmond were tied to amateur or professional sports, according to a report from the Richmond Region Tourism Bureau. NASCAR, and we mentioned this a few weeks ago, NASCAR's fall race on September 21, 2019, had the highest single-night hotel occupancy in Richmond at just over 92% hotels occupied because of fans visiting Richmond International Raceway and attending this particular race. You had a Jefferson Cup youth soccer tournament, a Jefferson Cup girls soccer tournament that pretty much created 90% of hotel occupancy in Richmond. We have found, according to the Richmond Times-Dispatch, 2019 was a record year for the region because of sports. An amateur soccer tournament and the Jefferson soccer tournament, just one tournament in one weekend, attracted 60,000 people to the Richmond area, and that turned a $25 million impact into the economy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these statistics from Richmond, 60 miles down the road, very much a comp or a comparable for Charlottesville. Okay, now Charlottesville's smaller. Central Virginia, the region, is less dense than Richmond, but it's 60 miles down the road. It's a comp. This is what I'm going to ask of our leadership in our community, Albemarle County, our leadership in our community, City of Charlottesville. For us as a community to get out of this budget deficit we're in, and for us to get the economy going right in the back, good direction, right? Right? We need to put less of an emphasis on raising real estate taxes. We need to put less of an emphasis on raising hotel and travel and tourism and wedding and retail and restaurant taxes. The last thing we need as Charlottesvillians, as Albemarle Countyans, as Central Virginians, when money is tight because of COVID, the last thing we need is the government in our pocket asking for more. Instead, why don't we be creative and innovative and entrepreneurial like we have to be as small and medium-sized business owners? Instead, why don't we try to attract youth soccer tournaments to this area? Instead, why don't we try to attract sports tourism to the area like Richmond, the capital of the Commonwealth, is doing oh so well? These tournaments will drive bookings on a Thursday because many of these games are played on Fridays. So the families arrive on Thursday evenings and get in hotels. And then they go to the restaurants and they spend money there, the music venues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And remember, if we can attract these outside sports tournaments into this area, we have numerous soccer fields. Maybe a joint venture can be done with the University of Virginia to leverage and utilize their sporting fields. If that would be great exposure for UVA, right? J-Dubs, if you can check this panel over here for me, that would mean the world to me, sir. If we can attract folks from outside the area to Charlottesville, that means we are bringing incremental revenue and incremental dollars to the community. And if we're creative in our thinking like that, that will keep taxes from being raised for people like you and I. This is the type of platform when I do run for political office, because I feel a need to be civically engaged, because over the last 20 years, this community has been very good to me, our team members, in our families. Okay, very good. And I think as a conscious capitalist, it's important to give back. And you give back with your most valuable commodity, which is your time and your expertise. Part of, in a tenet of my platform would be to utilize the small and medium-sized business expertise and experience that I've accumulated over a decade plus of running our businesses, and to integrate that mindset into a board of supervisors, into a 5th district, into a city council. Because unfortunately, and I'm going to make a fair statement here, unfortunately, leadership is not small and medium-sized business-minded currently. That should change. And if it does not change, you can certainly expect your business, real estate, and personal taxes to increase, because the creative thinking just isn't there. Our next headline, very quickly, before we get to Kelly Jackson, KJ, I'm excited for this interview, is from Richmond, Virginia. In fact, the next two are going to be from Richmond. I follow Richmond closely. Guys, we have a health department in Richmond that is being straightforward and honest. And Judah, if you can get that headline on screen. It's on screen now. Look at the screen. Richmond's health department has pulled the business license for 6 restaurants in Richmond because they're not following COVID guidelines. Daddy Rabbit's on Broad Rock Boulevard. City Beach on West Cary Street. Man, Carytown is getting hammered. La Caverna on Hall Street Road. Good Times on Chamberlain. I've been to Good Times. Main Stage on North 5th Street. I've been to Main Stage. And Escapati Lounge and Bar on Hall Street. So 6 restaurants shut down by the health department. The reason I bring that to you and relay it to you is because I have a soft spot in my heart for restaurants. My wife and I are foodies. We very much enjoy patronizing and supporting the restaurants in our community. I encourage all the restaurant owners, and I know there are many that watch this show, to be very mindful of the health guidelines from our local health department, because the one in Richmond has shut down 6 restaurants this week due to failing to follow those guidelines. Very quickly, before we get to you, KJ, ghost kitchens are gaining tremendous momentum in Richmond, and I'm seeing that momentum sprinkle to Charlottesville, Virginia now. A ghost kitchen is essentially an experienced chef utilizing a commercial kitchen. Maybe it's a commercial kitchen that's tied to a restaurant during a morning or afternoon when that restaurant's only open for dinner service. Or maybe it's a shared commercial kitchen from an incubator. Now, these ghost kitchens have a talented chef working in this ghost kitchen. They are not serving people at the ghost kitchen. They're not serving people outside on a patio. They are using the ghost kitchen to create very delicious food. They're building a website online that has a clear call to action for delivery or curbside pickup. They make the food at this ghost kitchen where they tell no one to go to unless they're doing curbside pickup from the outside, or they deliver the food directly kitchen to consumer. They're springing up. The ghost kitchen in vogue, much like the food truck, when the food comes to you. We'll follow that closely because we're starting to see that in Charlottesville. One comes to mind is Plenty CVille, that is doing the ghost kitchen concept. Plenty CVille. I'm following their growth and birth as entrepreneurs. Save $288 on Ting Fiber Internet. Judah Wickower through ilovecville.ting.com, if you can get that on screen. And we're going to welcome our friend Kelly Jackson to the show now. In fact, I'm Skyping her as we speak, the co-star of Women Changing Our World. KJ, how are you?
I'm great. Hey, I'm loving your casual fall attire, Jerry.
Thank you. I got a cardigan on.
I saw that.
Yes, thank you very much, Kelly. How are you? I like your red glasses. You also a woman of style, and we see that with the different frames you wear. How many different frames do you have, Kelly?
Oh, probably 20.
20?
At least. Probably.
Do you rotate every day?
It depends on how I feel. I try to match kind of my outfit and what I'm vibing for the day. Okay,
I love this. This is coming in crystal clear. This setup is fantastic. So what is the favorite color frame?
Probably my blue ones.
Okay.
I wear those a lot. You've seen those a lot.
Yes, I like them.
But I did just order 3 new pairs. So when they come in, I'll wear them on the show.
Warby Parker?
No, I do Zenni Optical.
Okay.
Or I do a few other online things, and they're so cheap. They're like $20 a frame.
No way.
Yes.
$20 a frame, and we get to see her personality, which is high energy, which is fun, which is informative. All right, your daughters, we are starting to get to know through Women Changing Our World and your Facebook page. There, you guys are doing cooking and cocktails. They show up. Sometimes they're more involved in the conversation. My favorite was when your oldest daughter was pouring some non-alcoholic bubbly into a glass for your youngest daughter. It almost spilled over, and it was just funny to watch. I love what your family is doing. How are they doing in school?
Well, my 6-year-old, we are in a homeschool pod, virtual homeschool pod.
Okay.
So a few of us got together, hired a private teacher who is teaching them individually or in very small groups.
Okay.
Classes online. My 6-year-old, who is in 1st grade, is already doing 2nd grade math, 2nd grade reading, and thriving.
Wow.
She's just leaps and bounds, doing amazing.
Better than she was in the classroom, or equivalent?
I would say better.
Wow.
I don't think that has to do with her amazing teachers from last year.
Okay.
I think it has to do with learning the fundamentals of reading and writing and math on such an individualized, personalized level. So she's really grasping the concepts instead of, learning how to read with 10 other kids.
Got it.
So she's doing great. My 7th grader, who's in a private school, she's doing virtual through private. Okay. Academics are rigorous.
What does that mean?
Rigorous. A lot. It's a lot. She is, doing normal work that she would have done last year, just a grade above. But I think she is struggling more with the mental health aspect, not necessarily the academic.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
So, she's a middle school girl. You weren't one, but I was. And I'm telling you, it's like a very social, involved time. But I think it's good and bad. Middle school as a girl is like the worst.
Why? How so? How so?
The gossiping starts, the you liking boys kind of starts, the cliquey group, gossipy stuff is started. So to me as a mom, I'm kind of happy we skipped out on this year.
She misses her friends?
Yeah, she misses her friends. But we even talked about her best friend's parents said that she could go live with them for a couple of weeks and then get a COVID test before she came back home. I told her she could do it. She thought about it and decided not to do it.
How come?
I don't really know. I think she's afraid of getting sick.
Okay.
I think she's afraid of getting her younger sister sick, who's autoimmune compromised. And I think that pressure is more than her want or desire to be at school.
You know what? I don't want to speak for you, but if I had the opportunity to leave my parents for 2 weeks when I was in middle school, I would probably said, let's go right now. Is that what you would have done that, right?
I begged my parents to send me to boarding school. Right. And they were like, no way. I was like, please send me somewhere.
Is your your oldest, how does she manage learning at the same frequency, at the same curriculum, but in front of a computer?
Well, she is very academic.
Okay.
She is a straight A+ student, has always been a straight A+
Okay.
student. So school and academics come pretty easily for
Okay.
her. The school that she's at, Covenant, was really great about managing her schedule. So she'll do like a science class and then have a 45-minute break.
Okay.
And then do another class, then maybe have a study hall break. So they were really great with working with her, so she wasn't just in front of the computer for 7 hours. But I will say, and I'm surprised, because I've said this on your show before, Jerry, I for sure thought there would be COVID cases already.
And none?
At Covenant, there has been none since school.
And are majority in person?
Yeah, I would say a majority are in person. There are 4 7th graders that are doing virtual with mine. And then it changes day by day, depending on, if you have a cold or a sniffle or your parent is sick. Those kids then stay home and do virtual.
Is there remember when we were in school and we wanted to do something, or we had a big term paper or something due the next day, and we would fake being sick? Can you
Yes.
do that now?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I did that all the
Right.
time. So, I don't know. But I do know CCS, or Charlottesville Catholic, has had one student. Okay. And then Peabody, I know, who had a few. And then, so they shut down Peabody for a few days. But I think everything else, to my surprise, is going well. But, we were talking when I was there on Monday. So when I just said my first grader is now learning at a 2nd grade level, she'll eventually go back to a private school. And then in the articles you posted about schools, like the city schools, I also read that. And the parents are saying their children are not learning anything. How is that going to work for next year? If my first grader is now already at a 2nd grade level, maybe at a 3rd grade level by the end of the year, and these first graders are still going to be at kindergarten level, what happens, Jerry?
This is why we have her on the show. She knows what's up. I'm fearful that that's going to create a gap here. That the gap between the haves and the have-nots is going to expand. I mean, how about you as a mom, your youngest, do you consider her skipping a grade?
I mean, kind of.
You're thinking about that?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on where she is. But do I have a repeat? I don't know. I think it just depends on where she is and where her teacher says she is. I don't really want to do that.
Right.
But maybe do schools then go to not done by age, right? Like if you turn 4 by this date, you can start kindergarten. Maybe I would say think about doing it by ability.
By performance, like the business world.
Right. Like Doogie Howser.
Yes! Doogie Howser, MD. It sounds like your 7th grader might be Doogie Howser, MD. Good God. Taking after Kelly and Adam. Certainly Rick, without question. Loves some Rick Postle, 007 himself. All right, let me throw this question to you. Why do you think and you're a connected lady, you have a lot of friends here. Why do you think the private schools are managing COVID so well?
Because they had more money. I mean, they got the loans, right? They have people paying $20,000 a year, so they have a lot of income coming in. They have smaller classes, so more resources. And while I understand private schools are a business, and I think they should be a business, I think they should be run like a business. I think that is at a disservice to our public school system. I mean, it's very unfair, whether you like it or not. If you can afford it, you can have it.
It is so unfair. You're so right. Well, you had the genius idea of, during this time, the private schools who have ironed out the curriculum and the infrastructure and systems a bit better, that they should be pro bono offering this to their public school counterparts.
Why not take a video if you're already teaching the class? take a video of it and let the public school kids watch it. And then let the private or the public school teachers then facilitate questions and conversation about that class that's already being taught. So therefore, they are not being stretched in 1,000 directions.
That is genius. So she's basically saying set up a streaming infrastructure in the in-person classrooms. That streaming then is funneled through the public school system. The students that are asking the questions that probably their public school counterparts would also ask, they can raise their hand in person, ask the questions, and the public school counterparts are watching computer at home and learning that way, as opposed to having to figure out a system that is frankly not being seamlessly integrated into the public school system. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's a great idea.
I mean, listen, then you're going to get people say, be like, but I paid for the education and now it's free. Oh, come on, people. I get it, but like, get over it. Like, the kids in our community are the most important. And if those kids are falling behind, people like me who own a business, other people out there that own a business, the people that are going to be there that we can hire, if they have a lower education, are going to hurt us in the end, whether we paid for the education or not. Let's be forward thinkers.
I love it. All right, let's talk about the... So she's got tremendous experience in the F&B space with 16 Paneras here. Let's talk about this ghost kitchen idea that's sprouting up. I mean, anywhere you want to go.
I think it's interesting.
Okay.
I do think it's interesting. During COVID time, I'm confused on the delivery piece of those. Just because we do delivery, and you have two choices. You can either build the infrastructure yourself and run delivery and hire your own delivery people, get that insurance, do it yourself. Or you're going to have to pay a DoorDash or a Grubhub or Uber Eats a very high percentage.
What do you guys do? Did you roll out your own inventory, your own system?
We do both.
You do. Now, Grubhub, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're a lot smarter than I am. Grubhub is taking a massive percentage. Right? All these third-party deliveries are taking a massive percentage, right?
Yeah, I mean, and we're lucky because we're part of a larger corporation. We own our own franchise. We run it. But, we have the leverage of a national...
Oh, so you can negotiate better rates. Okay,
Right.
So that's brilliant on your part. That's one of the many positives of being power in numbers, essentially. Okay,
Power.
The perspective you offer the individual 1 and 2 unit owners then.
I guess you do whatever it takes to survive during COVID. If you can break even and keep your doors open, whatever it takes to do that, do that. Whether that's creating your own system, whether that you might be losing a little bit more money off the top if you hire an Uber Eats. Listen, keep your doors open if you can. Bottom line. Everything else, it'll come back.
What is the conversation being had at the top of the Panera totem pole down to Kelly, Rick, Adam about winter is coming? Winter is coming. Game of Thrones.
Well, listen, our drive-through, our curbside pickup, and our rapid to-goes, and then our delivery system has saved us. I mean, it saved us. And I think we will never go away from that business model again. Why would
Right.
we? And Rick said this on your show, moving forward, if we build any more or relocate any of our locations, we're going to do a smaller footprint. And we're going to make sure we have patio space. We're going to make sure it's a drive-through. A lot of restaurants moving forward, that's going to be their new norm. I don't think restaurants are ever going to go back to the way they were. This ghost kitchen, though, is interesting. I don't know how sustainable that's going to be long term.
And you're saying that because people want to be at the bar, watching the game around other people and feel the energy. Is that why?
Yeah, they want to sit on the patio and have a cocktail with their significant other like you do.
Yeah.
They want to sit and meet friends for appetizers.
Right.
If you want to grab and go, there are too many options within that space, if that's what you're looking for. So I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the ones in Richmond. I haven't experienced that. So I'm just giving a overall perspective. For me, if I'm going to go out to eat, I want to sit on a nice patio, overlook a beautiful mountain or whatever it is, sit on the downtown mall, have someone serve me cocktails. Now, if I'm going to do a pickup and take it home to eat, I'm just going to run through something that's going to be less expensive.
Right. Yeah, because you're saying it's the price point, maybe the food doesn't hold as well, and you're paying a price point where the ambiance and the in-person experience is worked into the price, and if it's curbside and takeout, you're not getting that.
Right, and so it'd kind of be like, and if I was catering a meal at my house, then I would hire a caterer, and we have so many amazing caterers here in Charlottesville.
Right.
So I think it's kind of a confusing message because they aren't a caterer, but they aren't a restaurant. I think it's going to be hard to get people to understand what they're doing.
2 more questions for you. A final word will be the last one, anywhere you want to go. Before we get to a final word, how about I asked this of Tiffany Smith, the Virginia shop, Barracks Road Shopping Center yesterday, and she said Federal was working with her. She said some good things to say about Federal. She had some not so good things to say about Federal, which I totally get it. How about with you guys?
Federal's always been very great to us. We've been there for years and years and years. It was our first location here in Charlottesville. My husband, Adam, who runs the operations of our business and does a lot of the real estate, he has a great relationship with Federal. Okay. That's not really my side of the business. But, Barracks is one of our busiest stores. So they've done right by us.
Okay.
I can't say that for every tenant.
Right.
I know there are some tenants that are upset.
Right.
I won't speak for them. But for us, they've worked with us.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Final word, anywhere you want to go?
Guys, get out. Try to shop local. Try to eat outside on local restaurants. The weather's getting beautiful. It's a great time to visit the downtown mall, our vineyards, the Panera patio. Things are tough with students not really being out and about as much. So if you're not local, find a local place that ships here in Charlottesville. Support Charlottesville.
I love it. Women Changing Our World, 10:15 Mondays on the I Love CVille Network. Follow and like the Women Changing Our World Facebook page and Instagram. Who is on Monday?
Well, today, Jamie and I are doing a crafting with cocktails.
Whoa, I like the alliteration. Cooking and cocktails, now crafting and cocktails at Picasso Swig.
No, we're going to do it at my house because my kids want to craft and we don't want to destroy Jamie's place.
4:30.
So, at 4:30, we're doing pumpkins.
Ooh.
Very fancy.
Very fancy.
On Monday, we have Keith Harrington, who's a very famous artist. He's like Warhol of the 80s. His sister wrote a book, a children's book about his life and inspiring kids to love art and create art. So she's going to be on. And then, we have a ton of other people coming up. Some of them are secret because they're just huge and amazing. But we have Debbie Ryan.
You don't want to spill the beans about the one you told me midweek?
I can't. It's too
big. It's so big. Can you spill the beans?
No, not yet, because I don't have a confirmed date. And this is somebody from a major network, so I don't want to piss them off.
That's understandable. Gotcha.
But Debbie Ryan,
that's big time.
The first week in October.
Yeah. Basketball coach, women's basketball team, UVA, Debbie Ryan, a star. You guys rock. You killed this. Seriously. Say hello to everybody, and we'll see you Monday.
Have a great date night.
Take care. I will. You have a good one. Date night tomorrow for my wife and I. Mrs. Miller, we are so excited for date night. I think I have our guest on the line here, Judah, from the Thomas Jefferson Land Trust. In fact, I'm Skyping him now. We do. Awesome. I'm glad we were able to make this work. If you can activate your camera by tapping it so we can see your, yes, that's perfect. Fantastic. First thing I'm glad we worked this out. Thank you for Skyping me. All right, first question I'm going to have for you. Will you pronounce your first and last name for me?
My first name is Niyo Seti, and my last name is Seti.
Okay. All right, Mr. Seti, thank you for joining us, sir. How about it? You got a lot of people watching you here, sir. How about an introduction to yourself, Mr. Seti? What are you all about? Passions, hobbies, and interests?
My name is Seti. I go by my last name because that's how our culture work. And I like to play basketball with my friends. I like, you know, I like doing things in nature more than things in the city. And yeah, I just like learning and everything that I do and stuff like that.
Nice. How long have you been in Charlottesville, Seti?
13 years now.
13 years. Where'd you come from?
Tanzania. That's East Africa.
Okay. From East Africa to Charlottesville, can you put in perspective the culture shock?
I came here when I was 7, so really for me it was just the buildings, because where I'm from there's no buildings or houses like that, so that was just it. But the culture was different, but I think at a young age you don't really notice that until you get older. But like now that I can tell you there is a big culture difference.
Did you feel welcomed immediately, you and your family, in Charlottesville?
Not really, cause like no one spoke what you spoke, the language that you spoke.
You speak English phenomenally well.
Yeah, that was I've been here 13 years and I came young, so I had to learn.
Could you speak English when you arrived?
No, I couldn't. I didn't even know what that is.
Get out of town, dude. You're like a baller here. How many languages do you speak?
I know 2 languages, but I can understand Swahili, but not too much. But I can understand it. I can't speak it, but I can like understand it.
Awesome. Tell us about your family.
My family. Well, it's 7 that came to America. 7 of us, and we have grown. So like some of them have families, and some of them are doing their careers right now. I'm in college, and yeah, that's my family. And my parents, they live together. They live with me in this house right now that I'm in. And yeah, my family is interesting. It's an interesting family. I like being a part of it, though.
How so? Interesting. How so? Every family's got some interesting tendencies. How's yours interesting?
Just like how different we are from like a lot of families. The interesting part about it is like you never know what's gonna happen. Like you never know what's gonna happen. Every year for us is something new. So that's just like that's the interesting part about it. It's not like it's a constant thing. It's always something new and stuff like that. And so that's why it's so different.
That's awesome. Why did you guys pick Charlottesville?
I don't know. I was young, so maybe because that's where a lot of houses was like. That's where they moved us. We didn't pick. I don't think. I was young, so I don't really know much. So I don't think they picked Charlottesville. I think it was chose for them.
Okay. Now the house you're in, Seti, through the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust. Can you put that relationship in perspective? We've been highlighting the Land Trust a lot on this program because we believe in the mission and what the Land Trust is all about. Can you put in perspective the Land Trust with you and your family?
It's a good land trust because my mom has a garden outside the house, and so like we got enough land for her to like grow her plants and stuff like that.
Yeah. How did the Land Trust help you in a lot of ways, you and your family achieve what in a lot of ways is part of the American dream in home ownership?
A lot, because a lot of places when we first moved here, we didn't have like land, or we didn't have land or house, or you had to. Your neighbors were too like close to where you live, apartments and stuff like that, and like the rooms. But yeah, it helped with not achieving the American dream, but something close to it.
What does the home ownership mean to your family and you?
For me, it means a lot. Because we live in a nice neighborhood, and we always like trying to we always a nice neighborhood we live in right now. I'm sorry, my dad is.
That's okay. Tell him to come on the show.
Papa, Nikki, to get ahead. They're busy. Yeah.
He's
Yeah. Oh, he's in a hurry. He was just telling me he's leaving.
okay. What language is that, Seti? What language is that?
Oh, that's Kirundi.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
This question is coming in. Someone's asking this question. Was your family at all impacted by, genocide or war in Africa?
Yes. My parents were alive. A lot of people other than me were alive during the Rwanda genocide, and my brothers were born in '92 and it happened in '94, and so they was young. They was young because they was 2 years old when it happened. So we was they was not me, but they was very affected by it.
Was Charlottesville, what do you love about Charlottesville, and what do you want to see changed upon about Charlottesville?
I think Charlottesville it's not that much that needs to be changed, really. More of like, East Coast have improvement, but I think compared to other cities, Charlottesville is a pretty nice, decent city, a nice city to live in. It's fun. It's like if you was like raised here, you can find things to do a lot, and I don't think there's that much that needs to be changed in Charlottesville.
Great answer. How does Seti spend a Friday night or Saturday night?
Either my friend's house, playing 2K or basketball sometimes, or eating. I like going out to eat.
Where do you like to go food-wise?
Right now, the Fuzzy Taco near Wegmans.
Oh yeah,
that one right there. I like tacos, so like that place is where I go a lot.
I like tacos too, Seti. What is that your number one taco spot? What other tacos do you like in Charlottesville?
Well, I just found out about the taco trucks.
Yeah,
and I just found out about it like 2 weeks ago. So I've been going to them. So like they got one near UVA and one near Pentops, and so I just go to them. I don't have another. I love the settlement, but the taco trucks I do go.
Seti, are you talking about Tacos Gomez?
Yeah, I went there 2 days ago, I think.
Dude, aren't those tacos so darn good?
Yeah, really, very. For tacos, like I like. He put love into it. That's what I can say. He really did his thing.
Those are my friends, Kevin and Miguel Gomez. My wife calls Kevin El Guapo. El Guapo. Tacos. Yeah, I think she thinks he's a good-looking guy. I beat you in racquetball, though, El Guapo. You remember that. All right, Seti, I'm going to throw this to you here. And you're killing this interview, dude. You're absolutely killing this interview. The Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust, for all those that are watching and want an opportunity of owning a home. What is your opinion on that and how they can get involved? Because, Seti, it is so expensive here, right? It is so expensive for a house. Any perspective you can offer the folks that are considering the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust?
They have a good, a good system of, giving a land. And then I heard they try and build houses faster for people to move in. So I think that's a pretty good thing for the community, because like some people take 2 years maybe to build a house, but they try and do it every 6 months, which is like really fast. So more people can consider it fast because they know it's gonna be done faster than it is slow.
How's Seti meeting some significant others?
Not right now.
Come on, Seti, you got game, dog. You speak multiple languages. You're a charming, handsome dude. You're telling me you're not meeting any ladies?
Not like that. Not like that. I just keep it low key. I just keep it on the low.
Dude, you're awesome. You killed this interview. I'm so grateful for your time. Is there anything else, a final word, or any other perspective or thoughts that are on your mind that you think Charlottesville and Central Virginia should hear? You got a lot of people watching you right now. Anything else you think the community should hear?
Be better in the community. Try to do new things.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, Seti. You have a good one, dude.
You too.
Right. Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust, guys, doing big time things for this community. We are going to try to feature them throughout the year because affordable housing and keeping this community robust with its diversity, robust with its wealth. The last thing I want for this community as a father of 2.5-year-old, the last thing I want is for this to turn into a white rich playground. And I think one of the ways that we can create diversity, one of the ways we can create diversity in thought, diversity in perspective, diversity in finance, and make this community eclectic mindset will challenge and help us all grow as people is through, I think, the land trust model, because the county has limited so much of the land that can be developed for housing. And the city of Charlottesville's just over 10 square miles, 10.2 square miles. So we don't have much land. And when you limit supply, but demand increases every year because of the popularity of the University of Virginia or the Blue Ridge Mountains or sports or corn capsule in the music scene or the restaurant scene, whatever it may be, demand is still going this, where supply is staying like this. So eventually you have, and we're living it right now, it's just gonna become super expensive, guys. So we got to consider this solution, the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust, and I very much encourage you, if you're watching the show, to get involved, money, financially, your time, whatever it may be. A couple headlines I want to get to. I experienced this yesterday when dropping off 2 empty keg shells from what has arguably been the best birthday gift I've ever received in my time on this planet. A phenomenal 2-tap kegerator. I was dropping off the empties yesterday at 3 Notch Brewing Company, and in the process of dropping them off, I saw, and Judah, flip those photos on screen. Give me a thumbs up when they're on screen if you could, sir. I was watching as there was like essentially a farmer's market, but at night at Ix Art Park. And Brian Wimer is the Wizard of Ix. He took these photos. He and Susan Kreschel are doing a phenomenal job of making Ix just an epicenter of fun and entertainment and energy. Thursday night, last night, and you're flipping through those, J-Dubs? Thursday night, last night, briefly, I saw that fun and excitement. And I'm going to give you a fun activity. Here's a fun activity. Tomorrow, there's an in-person farmer's market at Ix Art Park. It's a lot of local vendors. Mama Bird comes to mind. A lot of the vendors you saw at the city market, it's now at Ix. Go to the farmer's market at Ix tomorrow. Wear a mask. It's safe and social distance with markings on the ground. Bring your dog to the farmer's market. You can bring your dog to this one. Enjoy some coffee, maybe Shenandoah Joe's from Dave Fafaro, maybe Bip and Bop from Mama Bird. And then when you're enjoying this coffee and this Bip and Bop, take your husband, your wife, your kids, your friends, and your furry animal, your dog, to the brand new Animal Connection that's at Ix Art Park, and check out what I think is one of the top 3 best retail stores in the region. You got Animal Connection, the Virginia Shop, and the Happy Cook. 3 of them that undoubtedly understand experiential retail. And the new Animal Connection at Ix Art Park is banging. Okay, it's a phenomenal way to spend a Saturday with your friends and family. Let's get the I Love CVille Instagram up on screen. We have the 3rd largest Instagram in the community, behind the University of Virginia and the city of Charlottesville. We are number 3. We have now integrated the Instagram into this network where we're reaching over 12,000 people just on that page alone. And we're putting positive content on there. One of the positive pieces of content you'll see, and keep it on screen, guys, is a beautiful, beautiful pumpkin spice slushie from Southern Crescent Gallery and Bar. A pumpkin spice slushie. There's booze in this. I mean, look how good this looks. Follow the I Love CVille Instagram. We feature many of the favorite restaurants we enjoy going to. We feature items from this show, including the I Love CVille Daily Digest on the Instagram. 12,257 people follow us on that platform. It's impactful. Instagram is impactful. This pumpkin spice slushie, I mean, I'm looking at it now, and I just want to eat like 15 of these, drink 15 of these. And then Uber home, of course. All right, a couple of other things out of the notebook. William and Mary athletes are suing, and we all saw this coming. William and Mary athletes are now suing the school. William and Mary because of budget cuts, because of deficit due to COVID, because of, frankly speaking, all colleges are down from a financial standpoint. They cut a lot of the sports programs. Unfortunately, most of the sports programs that bleed or lose the most amount of money are women's sports. It's a bummer. It's just a reality, okay? The sports that make money, football, basketball, and baseball, male sports, those sports create the revenue for the athletic department in totality. A lot of the women's sports are being cut across colleges across America. William and Mary is feeling the sting of this decision, and current athletes and alumni of sports teams at William & Mary that have since graduated, they are galvanizing, coming together, power in numbers, and forming, are pursuing a class action lawsuit against the college if their sports are in fact eliminated after next semester. So William & Mary has got a major PR and financial issue on its hands. The Pac-12, speaking of sports, has said they're going to launch a 7-game conference schedule. This is a direct reflection and direct pressure or influence felt by the Big Ten creating its schedule and saying, we're going to play football this fall. The Pac-12 will play a 7-game conference football schedule beginning November 6th. The Pac-12 championship will be on, got it right here, December 18th. So 7 games for the Pac-12. A couple of items, and if you have comments, put the comments in now and I will get to them. Type them in Facebook and I will relay your comments on air. Anything about the show that you think is important that should be out there. Let's give some love to Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine, J-Dubs. He is truly changing people's lives through chiropractic care, sports medicine, and physical therapy. Who's got your back? Dr. Wagner's got your back. Chiropractic care, sports medicine, and physical therapy at Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Let's get to comments, J-Dubs. Keith Smith of the Land Trust, he's watching. This is why we all do what we do. So blessed to be able to help families like Seti at the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust. We completely love working with people like him. Carol Thorpe, thank you for reporting the Tanisha Hudson story on the I Love CVille show. None of our local media outside the Schilling show has picked up on it yet. These are 2 separate issues here for me. The first is Miss Hudson. In my opinion, and her activism aside, her free speech rights were violated by the government, and so she was reasonable to hold the government accountable for that transgression. It will be expensive for us, as her attorney stated in his press release. They asked for $400,000 and described at his side being more than satisfied with the outcome. They did ask for $400,000 in the settlement. From what I'm gathering, they didn't get nearly $400,000, but you're right, Carol. The attorney said we are more than satisfied with the outcome. Carol continues, the second issue is the Charlottesville city government, which is led by Mayor Nakia Walker, who promised to unmask the illusion of this town and deliver transparency. It is disturbing that this was not disclosed by the city itself, but swept under the rug in hopes that taxpayers would never hear of it. Shame on council and the rest of City Hall. It's bad enough that taxpayers are left to wonder how expensive this will be, but we're being lied to by this omission. When will it end? So she makes this comment, and it's a very good one. Mayor Walker's campaign was about unmasking the illusion of local government, yet local government is sweeping under the rug the amount it paid Tanisha Hudson for violating her rights. She makes a very good point. Andre Xavier, the Smart Ghost Kitchen, can have 6 different concepts running out of it, ranging at different price points. This is here to stay. Delivery will never go away. That's from Andre Xavier, Chief Executive Officer, CVille Hop on Tours, and many other businesses. The dude knows business extremely well. Jerry, I love when you guys say this, and we work hard on this. Jerry, we rely on you for the news. Thank you for bringing a product to us that is fun and approachable and down to earth. And that's from Louise Monk. We certainly appreciate that as well from you. We will be back in the saddle on Monday at 12:30 on the I Love CVille show. We're so grateful for your perspective and so grateful for you joining us on this platform. You guys have a very good afternoon. Take care. You know, she's totally right about unmasking the illusion and the fact that we're not being told how much of taxpayer dollars are utilized for this payout to Tanisha Hudson Jr. The City Hall, in fact, local media outlets and taxpayers in general should 100% demand that City Hall and City Council say, this is how much money of your dollars that you allocated to this government, this is how much that money was paid to Tanisha Hudson. We deserve to know that. Carol Thorpe is exactly right about that. We should talk about that on Monday. Let's make note about that to talk about on Monday.